Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to do a field report. I'm gonna try to be doing field reports for you for Dungeons and Dragons, what I'm running, what I'm playing in. I'm gonna try to keep them short, right? But it's really helpful to me to just kind of collect my thoughts and talk to you guys about them and get feedback. By the way, somebody gave me feedback. One of my best commenters gave me feedback on Eberron and gave me a lot of information about Eberron, and then all of a sudden, poof, all my players are in Kryn. And he was like, hey, what about all that information I gave you about Eberron? And he's 100% right. I literally have a significant amount of notes and preparation that I did for the game that are just completely out the door, right? And that's okay. That really is Dungeons and Dragons. So I am convinced that Dungeon Masters and that, Dungeon Masters are truly carving out a new path for narrative for humanity. And this doesn't happen anywhere else, where you write a whole bunch of content and then you just throw it away, right? I think it does. That's not correct. It does happen in some areas, but it doesn't happen at the pace it happens on Dungeons and Dragons. We are bound to this narrative tool that is completely matched in anywhere in human history, where we tell this story and literally an eyebrow raise from the audience can dramatically change the story. And I specifically put in the story. Why did the player characters? I put a falling portal in the middle of the story, and I didn't know if the player characters were like, hey, we're definitely staying on Eberron, or if they're like, we don't know where we're going to end up and we're going through this portal, right? And I knew where they would end up, but that is the beauty of Dungeons and Dragons, is it truly can go in any direction and you do not know. And I also think, I'm really fascinated by, actually I find it kind of humorous, the writer's strike for Hollywood. And, and I'm listening to them and they're like, oh, we have a hard job. And I'm like, Dungeon Masters do every single thing you do faster and better, right? For free. It's hard to listen to their complaints, to tell the truth. It's really ridiculous. And we really have, and I think one of the reasons why I love Dungeons and Dragons so much is you get into this situation where you don't know, it puts pressure on your mind and your heart, right? It really does, because you have to be willing to get rid of large amounts of preparation, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, well, you're just going to circle it back. And you're like, no, man, the best Dungeon Masters legitimately leave a lot on the cutting room floor, right? Just like a director, right? But faster and better, right? So let me give you a quick, I said this was going to be quick and then I went on a tangent there. My apologies. Let's get into this quick. So let me give you a breakdown of Scott Garibay's current Dungeons & Dragons 2023 world. And one of the things I will tell you right now, I was really worried, of course, fall 2022, horrible breakup of a 2.5-year campaign, the best Dungeons & Dragons campaign I've ever had. I was incredibly dispirited and I lost an entire friend, right? So I really didn't know what was going to happen in 2023, and 2023 is starting out gangbusters. I am extremely, well, actually, we're in June. Holy cows. We're finishing H1, right, of half one, half two. We're finishing H1 of 2023, and I am so incredibly blessed to be where I am with Dungeons & Dragons. So let me tell you exactly where I am. So right now, I am running two games, and I am playing in 2 games, all official 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. So the one I'm running, my main Dungeons & Dragons campaign right now is the Multiverse campaign. Now, it started out as Eberron Rise of the Last War, and you've heard me refer to that campaign as the Eberron campaign. That is now the Multiverse campaign, because the player characters have been in Eberron and they have been in Kryn, and they are now literally in Chapter 1 of Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen, right? So that is my Multiverse campaign. I'm very excited about it. It is a 2-hour Dungeons & Dragons campaign, played all with Lego minifigs, right, which I use as official D&D, which I use as Dungeons and Dragons miniatures, and all of the terrain is all of the terrain is Lego, right? So official Lego D&D, right? So I'm using Lego because Lego and D&D are officially clicked together, right? Lego Dragon's Keep Journey's End is an official Lego, official D&D approved idea set, right? So Lego and D&D are officially, physically clicked, right? So I use Lego minifigs and I use Lego terrain. That game also features Magic the Gathering cards, which I use to do all of my XP. So I literally physically give out Magic the Gathering cards. Oh, and you know what? Let me keep this. Actually, yeah. So I will explain. Yeah, I'll go through and I'll tell you what all is. This isn't going to be as quick as I said it would be. I apologize. All right. So I use Magic the Gathering cards for leveling. So I give everybody, I give them Dragon cards and Dungeon cards, and I can give out Daylands or Nightlands, all Magic cards. So I can scale up what you need to turn into me for a level from as low as five chromatic dragon sets. So red, white, blue, green, black, right? Give me 5 dragons, you get to level, right? And generally I allow that for 1st to 4th level, right? And then once you get into higher levels, you may need to give me a chromatic dragon set, and then you need a dungeon for every single one of them. Or you might need a chromatic dragon set, and you need matching dungeons. So you're giving me 5 sets of Dungeons and Dragons, white dragon set, red dragon set, black dragon set, green dragon set, blue dragon set, so it's a dragon and a dungeon, Dungeons and Dragons. That's 10 cards you would need to get, right? And then I can also match that with land, right? So you need a plains, you need a swamp, you need a mountain, you need an island, right? Wait, let's do red, white, and blue. That'd be island, plains, mountains, black and green. That'd be forest and swamp, right? So that could take you, so you might have to turn in 15 cards to get a level, and then I might require you to do night and day lands, right? Because there are night and day lands now. So you're turning in as little as 5 cards to me, or as many as 20 cards to get your next level. And I handle all XP with official Magic the Gathering Dungeons and Dragons Magic the Gathering cards, because and that is a physical component of the game. And one of the things that I'm doing is I'm really taking Dungeons and Dragons and really starting to excise the character sheet and physically represent it with the array of physical components that are available for Dungeons and Dragons now, right? And then I also use Yahtzee dice. I use the official Dungeons and Dragons Yahtzee dice, and so I use 3 different physical components, all that are officially connected to Dungeons and Dragons, and I use them in my 2-hour Lego multiverse game. And I'm very proud of this. That is being run in an FLGS. And currently I have 4 to 5 players on a given night, which is astounding. And actually that level of player count, that has nothing to do with me. My Titanium player literally accepted my invitation, and I was ready to run for him alone, and I'm so blessed that the table has filled quickly, and the quality of players at the table is tremendous. And there are 2 new people who I'm getting to explore as people, right? And getting to know. One of them is incredibly, it's really wild. One of them has really unique interests. One of them, I suspect, is a lot smarter than me, which is going to be, I'm sorry, Scott Garibay's not that humble. That doesn't happen that often, right? Like, I just don't really come into, I don't often feel behind when I'm in a conversation. But one of the players at the table, I literally feel behind a lot of times when I'm talking to him. He's extremely intelligent, right? The other, I think everybody else at the table is just as smart as me, but it's rare for me to feel like I'm catching up in conversations, right? So really excited about that. So that is my 2-hour FLGS Lego D&D game that is running weekly. Okay. Next, I am running, and I could probably speed up a little bit more fast on this part. So next, I am running 1 hour Dungeons and Dragons, okay? And that is being run once a month, okay? And that's run once a month, and that is a Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen campaign, right? Straight. Which I'm very excited to be running Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen in 2 different areas, because I love the idea of being able to see how these different groups respond to different ways, right? And respond in different ways. So I'm very excited about that, and that's extremely exciting. That is a 1 hour Lego D&D game, and it uses all the same physical components I just talked about, right? And those are the 2 games I'm running. In addition to that, I'm running between 2 to 6 different I'm running 1 hour Dungeons and Dragons in 2 to 6 different conventions per year. Actually, I've run it at 2 conventions already this year, and I suspect I will run it again. So between 2 and 6. So I'm doing some convention running as well, and that's all 1 hour Lego Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. What am I playing? Right now, I'm incredibly blessed. I am playing in a very intense, very high-end Dungeons & Dragons game. It's held in a space that has absolutely unbelievable resources, extremely well lit, extremely comfortable. Literally hundreds of minis are available, lots of incredible terrain, and every single game I'm talking about is Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It is current Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and it is running, and it is the D&D Pokemon game. And so I literally play a Pokemon. I'm playing a Phanpy, and hoping to evolve to a Donphan soon. And that is incredible. It is a conversion of Dungeons & Dragons to run a Pokemon campaign as closely as possible to what actually Pokemon is and does, and it's extremely faithful to the Pokemon world, and I'm incredibly and I have access to 4 other players I've never played with before, which is absolutely astoundingly incredible, and it's really great just to be seeing this group and be engaged in that game. So that's there as well. And then finally, I also am playing, and I just played this weekend. I'm playing in a 1 hour Dungeons & Dragons game, and the Dungeon Master switched to 1 hour Dungeons & Dragons this is the Wedestrian campaign, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It has a female Dungeon Master, which is really exciting. And his female Dungeons & Dragons was playing a Roll20 game that I was involved in. That Roll20 game, we had half the players were very engaged and were showing up, and half the players were just not engaged and not showing up. And I would really encourage you, if you're playing in a Dungeons & Dragons game, and if you miss 3 sessions, just dip out, right? You're not really engaged enough to call yourself a player, and you should dip out, right? Especially, and I'm saying if you miss 3 sessions within 3 months, right? You should dip out. You're really not part of the game, right? And so we had a problem with this game because half the players were engaged, half the players weren't, and so that Roll20 game folded up, and then I got back into a space where I was physically close to in physical proximity with the female Dungeon Master, and we linked up, and I was like, hey, I would really like to see more of that Wedestrian game. And is it possible we can pick up where we left off? And that's and not only did she say yes, but she also ran it using my 1 hour Dungeons and Dragons format, not using Lego, just 1 hour Dungeons and Dragons, right? Which the reality, I think, in order to get Dungeons and Dragons to 1 hour, you really have to be incredibly narrative focused, flexible on mechanics, and you need to run some page 4 modifications. The rules aren't in charge, you're in charge. And I was astounded at how successful that game ran, how exciting it was. And so that's really fun as too. And that is going to, and I expect the frequency of that to be once every 2 months, right? So that's almost a seasonal game, right? I would say it's definitely going to, I think it'll be more frequent than a seasonal game, but we will absolutely be playing once every season. So I am currently playing into Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition games, running 2 Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition games, and I could not be more happy about how Dungeons & Dragons in 2023 is shaping up. And I don't take any of that for granted, and the reason why was we had really hit a patch where, 2023, January 2023, OGL Crisis, January 2023, Manic Panic, nobody knew what was going to happen. Like literally, Ginny D talked openly that like she was losing sleep during that period because she didn't know if D&D was going to go. Nobody knew if D&D, like people were shouting D&D be gone, or like we didn't even know if D&D would be allowed, if we'd be able to play Dungeons and Dragons because the Dungeons and Dragons community had forbidden, and so we are, and one thing that's really nice too is there are people who are like, the D&D be gone or shouted against D&D. Now we are declaring we're free and Dungeons and Dragons forever, right? And I really want to applaud each one of you that really just flew right in the face of everybody who said D&D be gone, because you are holding when you play Dungeons and Dragons today, you are holding up the flag for D&D forever, and you and me are there, D&D forever, and I'm really proud of you guys, and I'm really super, and I just wanted to share how blessed I am to be at this point. And I really appreciate your patience. Thank you for letting me share with that. Every single word that you heard is my field report for Dungeons & Dragons 2023 H1. What's your year? What's going on with you right now? What games, what campaign, what D&D 5th edition campaigns are you running? What D&D 5th edition campaigns are you playing in? I'd love to hear. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking, subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.